guys, it's Tony Guattari here from Achievers Group, just with a couple of additional closing ideas. These are sales closing ideas, how you can actually get agreement from people. And I just really wanted to go through a few more. I just wanted to talk to you about the for and against close. It used to be called the Benjamin Franklin close. I have no idea why it's used. Look, can I just ask you to be very careful on this one, because this can be viewed as a bit of a staged thing. But I'll just explain to you what it actually is about. I've used this on some very logical people in feasibility studies because it appeals to their left brain. And predominantly, mentally, this is what you need to do. You need to mentally go through the reasons why they should go ahead. A bit like a spreadsheet. You don't have to write it on paper, but you mentally actually have to reinforce what are the reasons why we should go ahead. And usually you'll come up, combined with you and the prospect, about 7 or 8 reasons. Then you say to them, look, just to be totally fair, is there any reasons why we shouldn't go ahead? That is a very logical approach. It's almost like a mini feasibility study. So I just wanted to share that one with you. The other one is actually called the higher authority close. Now, the higher authority close is a very important closing technique that's been around for a long period of time. The higher authority close is where you actually highlight some nameless, faceless person that you need to go and see to get approval. For example, if I'm under a serious amount of negotiation, then I could say to you, look, I really want to give you a really good deal, but I'm not authorized to do this. But what I'll do, John, is my boss is here at the moment. Let me go and see what I can actually do. But before I go and see my boss, and this is really important, if I am able to really sharpen the pencil, because my boss is, he gets a bit angry with me sometimes when I interrupt him. I just want to make sure that you understand I'm going to go all out for you, but I want to make sure that you're committed if I come back to you with the right price that you will buy. You want to make a big deal out of it. It's another approach called the good cop, bad cop, where you're the good cop and your boss is the bad cop. So I'm ranking higher authority and good cop, bad cop together. So I go and see the boss, and clearly I spend about 4 or 5 minutes, even longer than that, because silence is deadly in selling. It looks like you're doing an analysis. Then I come back and I actually say, look, I've spoken to the boss. This is the best price that we can actually give you. That is called the higher authority close. It works in many ways because ultimately the prospect thinks that you've gone in there and done a huge fight with your boss. You've gone out of the ordinary in order to really give them the best possible deal. And the last technique I want to give you is something that really happened to me called the divide and conquer close. Clearly, I've now been married for 21 years. And I remember about 7 years ago, it was my wife's 40th birthday. And really just to bless her, because she's put up a lot with me. I've not been the easiest husband to live with. I wanted to bless her, and we really decided to buy a diamond ring. Now, this was a substantial purchase. This was a 5-figure purchase when we just started our current business, Achievers Group. And we didn't have the money. We would have the money in January. Her birthday was January the 8th. So I knew I'd have the money because I had some contracts coming through and the money would come then. But here's the deal. 9 months prior to that, we decided to go away for the weekend to Melbourne. Not without the children, You know what I'm talking about? Happy days. Now, because we didn't have a lot of money, I looked out the best deal and I found out a 5-star hotel in Melbourne, which was part of the Crown Casino, which is a large casino in Melbourne. And they were giving amazing rates because they had just opened up a new hotel wing. And you know how casinos operate. They get you in there. Hopefully you'll gamble. Now, we don't gamble. It's not our big turn on in life. But clearly, it was a great deal. So I go there and we go down there for the weekend. We hit Friday afternoon. We basically get into the reception. And as part of what they give in the reception, they give you a newspaper in the morning. And we open up the newspaper, and I think it's the Herald Sun. And on page 7, there is a full-page advertisement for a jewellery sale in the hotel, because the hotel's a casino and casinos have got great security. And it was basically 2 days only. Okay, and it was this amazing, gigantic, $5 million jewellery sale. Now, my wife, who knows that we don't have the money, absolutely knows that, is a better financial steward than I am, says to me, do you mind if we just have a look? Now I go to myself, well, you know, happy wife, happy life. I'm there on the weekend away. I want to enjoy myself, but enjoying myself is actually, you know, making sure that my wife enjoys herself too. I said, sure, honey. And here's what my wife says. I know we have no money. I'll only be there half an hour. I said, sure, I'll come down with you. So I walk down there, and these guys are superbly professional, brilliant, beyond my understanding. I could learn a lot from these guys. As soon as I walk in there, they have a section for men, like a cave. It's not really a cave, but it's got newspapers, condiments, fruits, foods, and it's got some gaming platforms like Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox. So and there's a couple of other guys there, and I go in my stupidity, I go to my wife, honey, take as long as you want, because I like reading newspapers, and I can spend hours reading newspaper. So I'm happy, I go to my little cave, my wife goes to the counter. Remember, they've never spoken to me. They're using the vehicle of my wife to get the sale, and you'll see how this unpacks. So she goes to the counter, and I think in about 5 minutes' time, she comes to me at this lounge. And she says, Tony, why don't you come and have a look at some of the designs? And I initially resist this because I'm actually going, well, but honey, you know, we're not really, we're not really going to buy, and she said, just have a look. And I say, well, okay, what's it going to do? It's going to be no harm. So I go there reluctantly, I mean really reluctantly. So I go there and I follow her. And I finally get to the counter, and she starts showing me all these designs, gets really excited about them. You know what I'm talking about. And then she says to me, and then I say to her, honey, really, whatever you like, I like. So it's really for you. So I said, I just go back to my little section. So I go back to my little section. In about 5 minutes' time, my wife comes back to me again. And she said, oh, Tony, I've just spoken to the owners. Did you know some of these prices are amazing? Did you know that this company doesn't normally sell to the public? It normally sells to other jewelry retailers. We are going to get the wholesale price for us. And then I say to her, but honey, remember our deal. Remember, we don't have the money to buy. And she said, yeah, but the deals are so good. I said, honey, please trust me on this. There's always a sale, especially in January, because after Christmas, a lot of Australian retailers go on sale. We call it, the Boxing Day sales. So she accepts that. She says, yeah, you're right. We'll probably get a good deal in Sydney. I said, yes, we will. I assure you of that. So she goes back to the counter. Then in about a couple of minutes, she actually comes back to me again and she says, Tony, what about if we put it on Amex? But I said, honey, we've got to pay Amex back. It's like, American Express is not a privilege, it's called debt. And we didn't have the money, and I don't want to pay credit. I want to pay Amex where you pay it off really quickly so they don't get charged. I don't want to, they're exorbitant credit card prices. So we agreed on that. But then she comes back and she calculates, because my wife is from New Zealand and we go back to New Zealand every year to see her family. She calculates the amount of frequent flyer points that we would get if we bought it on Amex. She convinces me that our holiday for ourselves and our two children would almost be, from an air travel perspective, will almost be free of charge. And I go to her, honey, I said, honey, remember our deal. And I'm getting a bit strong here. I'm actually saying, hey, a deal is a deal. We don't have the money. So she goes back to the counter. But here's what she does to close me. She walks up to me. There's no one in this room left. She walks up to me purposely. And she says, how come, Tony, every time you want to buy your golf clubs, how come every time you want to buy your big screen TV, you just buy it? Now, the first time I want to buy something, I can't buy it. Now, I just want to remind you, Tony, that I have given birth to 2 of your children. The last one was 14 hours labour. I deserve this. Now, who out there believes that I bought the product? Absolutely. And this is a very powerful technique. It's called divide and conquer. Divide and conquer is this process of an understanding that you don't have to sell to both parties. You just have to wind up the more enthusiastic one, and that more enthusiastic one then sells to the more despondent one. Because, you know, clearly we're all in relationships. And I actually do know that in many ways I sometimes submit to my partner's wishes because I really just want to have peace. And to me, what is the point of saying no? What is the point of actually making my wife upset? What is the joy in my life of doing that? And what's going to be the weekend going to be like when we have that attitude around? So at the end of the day, I just said to her, honey, let's go ahead and buy it, right? Because clearly, you know, you want it. Let's just go ahead and buy it. And that is an amazing closing idea. So guys, until next time, have an amazing week and God bless you and bye.